I never thought I'd be the kind of person to plan revenge, let alone carry it out so thoroughly. But life has a strange way of forcing you into roles you never imagined. And in my case, it all started with a man named Carl Thompson, my former boss at a mid-sized construction company in Ohio, who somehow managed to combine the arrogance of a Wall Street executive with the ethics of a pickpocket. When I first joined the company, I thought I'd finally found stability, a decent paycheck, health, insurance, and a chance to use the skills I'd honed over a decade in the field. But Carl had other ideas, and he made it his personal mission to remind everyone in the office that we were replaceable, expendable, and lucky to even have jobs. Still, I kept my head down, did my work, and figured that in time my dedication would pay off. Until the day I discovered that Carl had been siphoning money from the payroll budget by misclassifying overtime hours, essentially stealing from the very people, breaking their backs to keep his projects on schedule. When I confronted him, politely in private, he smirked and said, "If you don't like how I run things, you can leave." And then, in the following weeks, began making my life hell with constant criticism, sudden shift changes, and petty write-ups for nonsense like improper tool storage and lack of team enthusiasm, whatever that even meant. I decided right then that I wouldn't quit, because quitting would let him win, and instead I began quietly gathering evidence, every falsified timesheet, every suspicious invoice, every project budget with miscellaneous expenses that were clearly just padding for his personal trips to Florida. I learned from a friend in accounting that Carl had also been double billing clients for equipment rentals, pocketing the difference, and worse, had used company funds to renovate his lake house, passing it off as a training retreat facility on the books. For 6 months, I documented everything. Screenshots of emails, copies of altered receipts, and even a recording of him drunkenly bragging at the company Christmas party about how creative accounting was the key to running a successful business. I knew that just dumping this on HR would be pointless, because Carl played golf with the owner every Saturday and they were practically family. So I went bigger. I reached out to 3 of our biggest clients, sent them anonymous packets of evidence showing exactly how Carl had been overcharging them, and timed it perfectly so they'd all receive the information on the same Monday morning. By noon, 2 major contracts were frozen pending investigation, and by the end of the week, the local news was running a story about corruption and fraud at a respected construction firm. Complete with my recorded audio as part of the broadcast, Carl was suspended pending review. But I knew the board was just biding their time, so I sent everything I had to the state attorney general's office, who opened a formal investigation that uncovered not only the payroll theft but also tax evasion and falsified safety inspections. Turns out, Carl had cut corners on at least 4 projects to save money, risking the lives of both workers and future occupants. The final nail in his coffin came when one of those projects, an apartment complex, failed an inspection so badly that the city condemned half the building before tenants could even move in. And when the lawsuit started piling up, Carl's allies in the company turned on him to save themselves. Within 3 months of my first anonymous packet going out, Carl was not only unemployed but also facing multiple felony charges. His lake house was seized as part of asset forfeiture, and his wife, who I later learned had been unaware of most of his schemes, filed for divorce and took the kids to her sister's place in Michigan. The last I heard, Carl was working as a night shift cashier at a gas station 2 counties over, wearing the kind of hollow-eyed expression that comes from realizing you went from wearing tailored suits and driving a brand-new Ford F-150 to living in a rented studio apartment with a broken air conditioner and no friends willing to return your calls. I never told anyone at the company that it was me who'd set everything in motion. Officially, I left 2 months later for a better opportunity. But every time I drive past that lake house and see the weeds growing tall around the for sale sign, I can't help but smile, because Carl Thompson made my life miserable. He made my coworkers feel worthless, and he thought he was untouchable. But in the end, I made sure that the man who treated people like disposable tools would die, figuratively, completely alone, stripped of everything he valued, and with nothing left but the bitter taste of his own downfall to keep him company for the rest of his life.